Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Grimsby Economic Development Advisory Committee, Wednesday, June 23rd. It's great to see everybody here. And again, I just start out with calling disclosure of pecuniary interests. Anybody have any pecuniary interests to this meeting today? I don't see any on the screen. That's great. Then we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. we're going to have a resolution that we ask that we just change the agenda order a little bit. I'd like to move Rebecca's presentation to start out with. So I'm just going to read out a resolution looking for a mover and a seconder. That the committee business be reordered to move up the presentation. Grimsby's got it. By local campaigns. So can I have a mover to that? Show of hands, somebody to move that? Susan? Second by Ali. Okay. Thank you very much. And we'll continue on. There's no delegations. There's no reports at this time. No resolutions. And the correspondence that was put in the package was to do with the National Post Downtown campaign. So hopefully everybody had a chance to review and read that. So that was just for your interest. So we'll start with the committee business then. And Rebecca, you've got the floor then. Welcome.
Great. Thank you very much, Councillor Cadwell, and great to see everyone here from GDAC. Thank you again for the flexibility and switching around the agenda to accommodate another meeting I have at 9:30. Donna, I think you have the presentation that you were going to share on screen. Perfect, thank you. So I think everyone has already seen a little bit of this hit mailboxes and social media, but we're really excited to have launched the Grimsby's Got It Support Local campaign. This is kind of a shortened version of the presentation that I gave to council on June 7th. So some of the information is a little bit out of date, but I can speak to that, no problem. Next slide, please. So just a quick overview of what we'll be going through in this short presentation. Just talking about some of the pieces that we already have in place and what our goals are coming as we get through the summer. Next slide, please. So as you can see, we've got a pretty amazing project team pulled together here to help make this project come to life. It's a diverse team that represents businesses and organizations from across Grimsby. We have the West End, the East End, Downtown and DIA, and a couple of not-for-profit organizations all working together to bring this project to life. I think what's really incredible about this is it's really a true example of the power of community and collaboration. I'm really proud of what this team has accomplished in less than 2 months since we first started meeting. And I mean, I think the goal is pretty self-explanatory. Increasing consumer traffic to local businesses. Our local economy really needs a push to jumpstart it, not just into recovery mode, but really into rebounding and thriving. And we need our community and local consumers on board in order to do that. Next slide, please. So why now? I think that, again, is pretty self-explanatory. We all know how devastating the public health measures necessitated by the pandemic have been on all local businesses. We've seen businesses close, and some of those that haven't closed yet are really hurting. I'm sure many of you are hearing this from your neighbors, your friends, from the local businesses that you're frequenting. People are struggling. There's been quite a few recent surveys that support a really strong push for buy local initiatives. The Ontario Chamber's recent Ontario Economic Report listed encouraging Ontarians to buy local as the top priority for communities all across the province. And Niagara's own economic response team's third survey in their series shows specifically in Grimsby, businesses reported that a quote unquote slow return of customers was the top obstacle to recovery. So everyone talks about how supporting local is so important, and we hear it from businesses and these surveys and ActDev teams across the province. But why? What does supporting local actually do? How does it actually affect the local economy? You can see here there's a few examples of how much of a local spend stays in the local community, the environmental benefits. Local businesses hire local people, so job creation. And local businesses, as we know, give back to local not-for-profits. They really enhance their local community in a significant way. I'm happy to speak to any of these points or other ones during the questions, but I think we all know why shopping local is so important. Next slide, please. So our target, you can see here that we're kind of taking a two-pronged approach. The first is evidently we need to emphasize the importance of supporting local to consumers. To address that why piece, the education piece, why is this important? To get consumers behind the idea of the impact that they can have with their $5, $10, $25, the impact that they can have on their local community. And the second piece is promoting local businesses, is geared towards businesses and promoting them as the first, easiest, best choice for consumers, using a variety of obviously media platforms. Part of this also is encouraging local businesses to start conversations with their customers about shopping local and the direct impact it has on their own local business. Next slide, please. So key initiatives are, as you can see here, our target is to have publicly launched the campaign, which we did last week. So this information is slightly out of date, I apologize. And really encouraging consistent conversations with and getting that uptake from the public through ongoing contests, a variety of interactions across multiple media touch points and outlets, where there's been talks about using the town's Goose Chase app to create a local scavenger hunt that would showcase so many different things that Grimsby has to offer. So we're still fleshing out what that might look like. And then as far as a timeline, the initial campaign is set to kind of wrap up after Labor Day, but our goal really as a project team is to create an extremely strong support local community and conversation that will drive the campaign to potentially even a year-round conversation, a year-round initiative. The longer we can keep this going and encourage consumers to intentionally choose local, I think the better the impact on our local economy will be. Next slide, please. So as you can see here, we've already established quite a few partnerships, which I think speaks to how wonderfully even the business community and the not-for-profit community has embraced this initiative already. And I think there'll be more growing interest with this as the campaign continues. So to date, we have more than 25,000. I think we're at almost $30,000 committed through discounts, in-kind contributions, and outright sponsorship. I think that's a really powerful indication of how important it is to work together and how strongly so many local businesses believe that a support local campaign will help drive recovery. Next slide, please. So next steps. Well, these are kind of the in-process steps. We're launched. So Facebook and Instagram, social media is live and active daily. Following businesses, engaging with consumers, asking for consumers to tell us what they love about Grimsby and their favorite local places to go. So really getting that conversation going. The website has been launched. It's still in process. We're still building and adding to it, but it's up there. So there's a place for people to go to find information. We are building into it a local directory so businesses can add themselves to it. So Grimsby's Got It really becomes the go-to place for people to find information about what's great about our local business community. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, Donna. Thank you. So obviously a strong campaign is going to need, as I touched on earlier, the idea of multimedia platforms. So we need a print component so that we can capture as many consumer demographics as possible. So the direct mail piece, I think you will have all already seen that in your mailboxes this week. It's fantastic and very impactful, a lot of fun to see. We're working on advertising in News Now, as well as Grimsby Lincoln News / Niagara this week. We just really want to make sure that we are hitting as many consumers as possible across all demographics. We're also planning a really strong push to local businesses, perhaps as early as next week. We've had some communications go out from DIA and chamber channels to let businesses know what's going on. But we're planning some collateral like window store decals for storefronts to put up, little postcard and some fun stickers that local businesses can use to engage consumers with. Then we'll be doing some door-to-door engagement around that and building the awareness piece with the businesses. The boots on ground, I guess, is the next step. Next slide, please. So I mentioned that we were going to do contests. So we have some fantastic contests planned. The first contest, which will wrap in mid-July, is really around building awareness of the campaign. So anybody that's used the Grimsby's Got It hashtag or followed us on social media will literally do random draws for prizes. And the neat thing about this, to keep it equal and really being able to showcase any business in Grimsby, is that these contests, the prizes are going to be the winner's choice. So they choose the local business they want a gift certificate from. So we're not choosing which businesses to spotlight, the community is. I think that's going to be really key, is that we want the community to talk to us about what makes Grimsby awesome. The second contest will be geared to the local spend count. So anybody who's uploaded a receipt on the website will be entered into the second draw. And then we have possibilities depending on how much longevity, what legs this campaign has. We have possibility to extend this beyond Labor Day and even up to the busy holiday shopping season to be able to do additional contests. So we do have that local spend count up and live on the website, and it's been kind of neat to see it slowly tick up. People just have to report their local spend and upload their receipt. It's very simple. I've done a couple myself. So I'm really curious to see how many times we're going to have to move that goalpost just because we keep hitting it, so keep getting so close. We've already moved it up once, so very exciting. So if you guys are shopping local, please report your spend. Next slide, please. And that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'd be delighted to answer them. And thank you for your time and letting me update you on the initiative.
Well, that was great, Rebecca. Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very informative. A lot of great ideas moving for the small businesses in Grimsby. Any questions or comments for Rebecca from her presentation? Susan? I'll go with Susan. Yep.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're muted, Susan.
Have to do that at least once, right? I just wanted to say to Rebecca that I think you've done an amazing job, and it's so great to see the community coming together and actioning this so quickly. And it's quite exciting. I thought that the flyer that came to my home was amazing. And I think you're going to get a lot of excitement out of it. And I think it's a really important initiative to help businesses right now. And I know from the BRNE, it's one of the key issues is demand for product. And I think you're hitting it on the nail. So just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the positive feedback.
Any other questions or comments? Ellie?
So in part, I want to echo Susan. I've been so excited watching all of this roll out. So congratulations, this is amazing. I was curious to hear from you. I know it's early and you said that there's been some engagement, but are you getting the engagement that you hope for thus far? Have you encountered any challenges? Is there anything that GDAC can support you with through this process?
Thanks, Allie. Those are great questions. Obviously, with any new social media, especially campaign launch, it's a slow build. So we're planning on really ramping up our efforts on the social media engagement starting next week, just to really get consumers talking and get those conversations going. This has been kind of a softer hey, this is why it's important. And now we're going to get into the heavier, hey, come on, tell us about your local businesses. So we'll get into that in the coming weeks. But I think too, with any successful campaign, as much as you want to see, yes, we want 1,000 people following us in week one, that's not realistic. It really is about the slow build and creating those conversations, and then people telling other people. We've had, I actually had a member of the public just randomly reach out and go, thank you so much for doing this. We love Grimsby, and it's great to see that somebody's promoting Grimsby as the place to be. And, this is awesome. I can't wait to tell my friends about it. I'm like, oh my goodness, can we clone you? This is wonderful. But I think as far as challenges and help, it really is just spread the word, report your spend, talk to your neighbors about it, get people excited about why this is important, tell people to ask questions. That's what we're here for. And I think one thing too, if I can just add, this really has been a team effort. I'm happy and very honored to be kind of the person pulling some of the pieces together, but it really has been a team effort of everybody pitching in with their time and their resources and their ideas to move this forward. So I'm really excited and proud to be part of that team.
Thank you very much. I see no more comments or questions from the committee. I'll look to our CAO, Harry Slang, has his hand up. So
Dave,
Harry?
I had a quick question if possible. Oh,
sorry.
Harry, go ahead though.
Sorry, Mike.
Harry can go ahead. I don't want to talk over him.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, Mike, you go first. Yeah.
Rebecca, just a quick question. I saw you're going to do the boots on the ground approach at one point, and I'm sure Susan's already talked to you, but is any of the BRNE stuff going to go out with that when you go to do the boots on the ground approach, just to kind of make sure that we're, maybe not duplicating resources, but helping to spread the word about that as well? And I'm sure Susan's ahead of me on this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an excellent question, Mike, and something that Susan and I have actually talked about. I didn't want to steal her thunder, but she's got some neat ideas with the BRNE survey about how we can kind of cross promote the two. And certainly, even yesterday, we have our chamber golf tournament tomorrow, and I was running around collecting. We decided to earmark some money this year to buy gift certificates from local businesses. So I'm running around buying gift certificates at the same time, talking to people about the Grimsby's Got It. Hey, did you hear about this? Did you see it? If you have questions, like, this is really cool. We're excited to support you. And also pieces in that, I was talking about the contests and the BRNE piece and the survey and why that's important. So I think that's all part of the bigger conversation of engaging businesses and community at the same point. So yes, there is a crossover, and that's very top of mind, that we're not going out twice to hit the same people with the same person on two different issues.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, I don't see any other committee members. Mr. Slang?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I too just wanted to thank you, Rebecca, for taking this on and the team that you developed. So please pass on our thanks to all of them. You really see how by partnering you could leverage an investment almost 4 times the amount that we got from the region with your in-kind work and all the people adding some value to this initiative. So really wanted to thank you for taking this on behalf of the staff of the town. Thank you.
Thank you. We're really excited to be driving this. This is kind of a dream come true to be able to push an initiative like this forward. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks, Harry. And I'm just going to, as chair, I'll comment last. And I do have a couple thoughts and ideas. Watching the presentation, Rebecca, that I like the idea of the decals and the stores and that, just from a marketing standpoint, getting the awareness out there. And I'm just thinking about, you know what, we've got 2 banner posts in Grimsby that are sitting vacant, nothing hanging off them at all. And I know it's a challenge, and I'm looking over at our CAO, maybe we can incorporate, but even having banners, these banners, I know we have many challenges with because of the wind tunnel that on through the main street. But I'm just thinking if we could get banners on in the downtown and at Grimsby at the lake, because I love the slogan, Rebecca. Great job by your team there to come up with that idea. I think it's fantastic. So I don't know, I'm just throwing that out. Maybe we can look to if possibly putting a banner up, Grimsby's got it. It's just a great slogan. So
Thank you.
yeah.
That's certainly, we are costing out banners, and I have it on my to-do list to reach out to town staff just to see what's involved in being able to get permission to put a couple up. And we have additional signage that is being costed out. So this is not by any means set. This is, hey, how do we keep growing up and out? But yeah, so definitely great idea.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm glad to hear you're moving forward with it. Okay, I just have a resolution looking for committee support here. Resolved that the presentation, Grimsby's got it, by local campaign be received. Can I get a mover and a seconder to that? Show of hands. Ellie? Don't be shy. Richard, I'll put your name down. How's that? Okay. Thanks very much, Rebecca. Just give me a second here. Sorry, all in favor to receive the resolution? Great, thanks very much. Our next committee business will be the BRE working group update, and that would be Susan. Great to see you, Susan.
You too. Thank you. It's actually nice to see everyone again, all in one place, at least on one screen, right? I'm really pleased to be able to bring you an update on the BRE initiative today and walk through where we've come from and where we're headed to, and offer you an opportunity for questions at the end. Donna, you have the presentation?
Yes, just give me one moment.
Okay. Thank you. If you want to go to the second screen. Thank you. Okay, so today we're going to cover for the BRE update, program milestone review, key participants and roles in the BRE program, phase 1 and 2 update, which is basically our launch from April to now in June, and phase 2 next steps, what's coming up, and the BRE goals and deliverables. Next slide, please. Okay, it's a busy slide. I tried to keep it simple, but this is basically the journey that we're on. On the baseline in the middle is all of the key deliverables and milestones that will happen through this project from start to finish. On the top line are all of the teams that are involved in this as we go through this process. And at the very bottom are the key dates. The key dates could shift slightly if we get to our numbers earlier, we get to go to things earlier, but this is from based on where we're at today, where we feel we'll end up. So at this point on the red dots, we've launched our Let's Talk Business social media and print ads. The kickoff was on April 28th. Conduct online surveys, Let's Talk Business, started in May 20th. And I'll talk a little bit about our survey success, but we've given ourselves 2 through September to work through our survey process. We then moved to, in July 22nd, a council BRE lunch and learn. So Ryan Omalfa, who's the subject matter expert at OMAFRA, is going to provide an opportunity for council to do a full review of the program from start to finish in the process, and also what that relationship is on the OMAFRA methodology and deliverables, and an opportunity for Q&A, which I think will be really useful for all of us to get us all on the same page and have an opportunity about talking about moving forward. So that's July 22nd. The next steps after that don't actually start until October, and that's with the data analysis piece, which I have Blake Landry from the region helping me with data analysis to look at all of the survey pieces, and then preparing an actual data summary report that we will use for our BRE task force retreat. So basically all of the data from the individual surveys then comes together to look at trends and summaries of activities that are happening from that, so that we can look at it in a meaningful way versus looking at all the data at one time. We go into BRE task force retreat, which is an OMAFRA program element, on October 21st. And that particular group is predominantly an ECDev group looking at it from an economic development perspective and looking for not determining action. So these sessions are not to determine what we're going to do, but we are determining key trends and important priorities. So what is coming out of these surveys? What are the businesses telling us? What are those trends and what are the important pieces that we need to take forward? There's a second meeting on the 28th that will then allow council and directors from the town to also have that same process and be able to look at what did the economic development group come up with from their review of the data and the surveys, and what they feel from an economic development perspective might align with the town of Grimsby on what they can do to move initiatives forward and develop partnerships with local businesses. And then we'll move into the council one. Past that point, we move into when we collect all of that data from the two different groups, we'll formalize our results and move into actually developing the BRNE or MAFRA report. And also from that, an actual public report and communication plan. That starts in November. In January, so this is we kind of flip things around to give ourselves more time. We felt that December is not probably a good communication time to go out publicly and hold events and talk to our local businesses because December is a very busy and important, hopefully, business month. So we flip that to January. So we will go out to council, to the public, on the website and through video on summary reports and full reports that we'll provide and make available throughout the month of January. The important pillars that come out of this will actually be handed over to our strategy working group, who will integrate priorities and opportunities into the economic development strategy that they are working on. So this is a collaborative effort between both the BRNE working group and the strategy working group. So the BRNE working group is focused on immediate actions and support that we can provide to local businesses and on working through the MAFRA program to deliver a report that can support the town of Grimsby in moving forward with a good economic development plan. And the working group for strategy will take the time to actually take those pillars and determine what a good strategy would be moving forward and present that next year, which I know LA is going to talk about. And then ongoing would be the economic development and GDAC group implementing, monitoring, and tracking the progress of the actions and opportunities going forward for both groups. So that's the program milestones. If you want to go to the next slide. Okay, key participant roles. I wanted to speak to this because I think it's really important to understand all of the people that are involved in this initiative. The lead organization is the town of Grimsby, and the Grimsby Chamber of Commerce is co-sponsor. The leadership team, I wanted to speak a little bit to this. It's a very small team. There's an awful lot going on. The BRNE OMAFRA program is quite intense. So lots of action and lots of work. So I want to really call out to the team. Thank you for all of your support. It's been amazing. I have Adam on there. As everyone knows, Adam is not actively at work, but he does provide collaboration and ECDev insight once a week to the team when he's able to. Both of these programs are incredibly important to Adam, and he does not want to step away totally from it. So he has been active, and I really appreciate his support and guidance from an economic development perspective. On the resource network, very pleased to have collaboration and support both from the region and from the city of St. Catharines. Having economic development advice and experience and knowledge, helping to guide us and also in a collaboration is incredibly important to this program and for us to move in the right direction along with the guidance from our local businesses as they tell us what their needs are and concerns. Brian York from the city of St. Catharines, he's the Director of Economic Development, is on board on this project to provide ongoing support and is available to me at any time, and also is participating in a number of activities. Rob Belcourt from the St. Catharines Enterprise Center is supporting also on ongoing basis, and also providing us direct contact support to individual businesses that are reaching out for support in the economic development sector. Blake Landry, who is Regional ECDEV Data Analyst, is heavily involved in helping us to take the data that we get and actually put it into a useful format. So, and also providing us with regional data and analysis from local businesses in Grimsby that have participated in surveys so far through the Niagara region. Linda Sicoli is also available and consulting on ECDEV opportunities, and has been very involved in BR&E initiatives. She's actually facilitated many of them in her career, so is able to provide a lot of really great advice and best practices. So I really want to call out and appreciate all of the support that we're getting from our local economic development groups. OMAFRA advisors, I have 3 of them actually. We're supposed to have 1, but we've got lots of people involved with Ryan O'Malley doing an amazing job. He's their subject matter expert, and he's been very involved in helping us with our very small team in our very first entry into having this type of a collaboration with our local businesses to make the program work both for the OMAFRA outline and methodology, but also for Grimsby. So I really appreciate that. And then just to call out on partnerships, myself and Ali, representing the strategy working group, have collaborations every week to make sure that we're both aligned and informed, and everyone is moving in the same direction together. So I appreciate that. On the task force retreats, I won't go through this in detail, but I have outlined who's involved in each of the task force retreats, and not all have been contacted. So I did want to call out here that I will be calling out to the DIA, Mike, in the hopes that they would participate and collaborate on the task force retreat and use their guidance from local businesses to support. We'll also be looking for an additional business representative to represent the overall complexion of our businesses in the town. So we've got Brian York again will be involved, and Rob, Rebecca Shelley, and Sean Reed from the Grimsby Chamber, along with town representation from the CAO and the mayor. So lots of individuals helping there. And then we have the second council and department heads allows us to then collaborate and ensure that we're all aligned as we move forward on our next steps. Next slide. Phase 1 and 2. Okay, so following the OMAFRA methodology, we finished phase 1. We are actively in phase 2. So this is basically our update from April to June. We had our launch of our Let's Talk Business survey and portal on Bang the Table on our town website, which on May 20th, which is now a permanent part of our ECDEV offering to our local businesses. This portal is intended to be a permanent piece to allow us to continue to collaborate with our local businesses. So not just for the BR&E initiative, but ongoing as we continue to collaborate on solutions, on opportunities. This is where information will be active between the town and our local businesses. Launch of marketing and communication plan to local businesses, April and ongoing. Development of a supporting project resource network, which we just spoke about. And also, I think really important, almost every survey so far has asked for support on government programs to do with COVID grants funding. So Rob Belcourt from there will be connected with each of those businesses. Completion of BR&E roadmap, program milestones, timelines, and participants, which we just reviewed. Launch of business COVID-19 support on town website. That's happening today. The number of questions we had about specific, even how to find PPE, like just basic COVID information that our businesses needed. So we, Rachel partnered with the town of, or the city of St. Catharines to work on redeveloping a COVID-19 support site on our town website. And she came up with a very comprehensive, beautiful support outline that I'm hoping businesses will refer to, and that will be launched today. We're also rebranding our business website on the town site, which currently is called Doing Business. Today, that will be flipped over to Let's Talk Business. So we continue the branding, we continue the messaging so that businesses know that Let's Talk Business is where we go. And it's a collaboration, and that's where they'll find information from their asks, and that's where we'll ensure that we provide ongoing updates and support for them. So that changes also today. Thank you. Next slide. And I just wanted to touch on this because a lot of effort's gone into, building the portal and the survey process and then the marketing. And marketing is an interesting animal. As Rebecca said, it's, you can do a ton of it. You can do it well, you can do it badly. But it is a slow progress. So we have launched a considerable amount of marketing. This is only a very small slice of it. But on our initial launch, we spent a fair amount of print marketing to try and help businesses to understand what is this? What is a business retention and expansion program? What is this initiative that we're doing, and why might you want to do it? So we initial launch was in print in a number of waves, starting in April. We've had ongoing themed communications through social media, 1 to 2 a week, through all of the chamber resources, through all the town resources, even the St. Catharines Enterprise Center is sending out our updates, and we're collaborating wherever we can to get the message out to businesses. Ongoing direct to business mailing, ongoing is direct to business mailing and postcards. So we did not have a lot of response from the print. We've had some response from the social, and the move now is to move to direct, trying to go direct. So I have reached out through direct letters to key businesses, inviting them and asking them to participate and providing the value for that participation. So that's gone out recently, June 4th, you can see on the letter. And also we've gone to direct mail postcards. So in your hand, we're trying to get things in people's hands so that they can see the information. There's so much going on right now, and it's more important to connect directly or to have the information in people's hands. So we will continue doing ongoing direct to business mailing and postcards. And the next step is to launch direct calls to local businesses. So the conversation with Rebecca about Grimsby's got it and the BRE program, and how do we collaborate and how do we get in front of businesses? How do we call out to businesses? That right now is probably the most important piece in how we move forward with connecting with our businesses. We've had 11 surveys so far, after many hundreds of hours of work, I have to tell you, from all of the team members and excitement on launching this. We've had 11 surveys. There's a lot of survey fatigue out there. The regions run surveys. We're running a survey and there's other surveys running at the same time. So I think there's definitely a fatigue in it. And COVID trumps all. There's so much happening with COVID, and there's so much focus on that and what businesses are doing and what's changing as the rules change. There's not a lot of attention for other things. And the other thing is we haven't built these relationships in the past. We're just starting. Adam just started that, when he started with the town, and that wasn't that long ago. And then this initiative is the very first time we've gone out in a fulsome way and tried to create those relationships in a meaningful way. So there's concerns or lack of confidence in what we will do or the actions that we would take. So the ability to get in front of businesses, to reach out to them directly and have those conversations is really, really important. We really want this to work ongoing. This is not a one-off initiative. The intention is for this to live on and to evolve and to continue the collaboration. So that will be definitely the highest priority. And there's a number of us, including Rebecca, who will be reaching out to businesses and myself to invite them, but to also encourage them to participate ongoing. Next slide. Next steps. Increase survey participation through direct calling to local businesses, which we just talked about, building one business at a time. Continue marketing campaign through direct mailing and social media. Continue to action immediate business needs from survey feedback. Connect back with every business. So we connect back with every business that completes a survey. Every business has an ask. a lot of it is really simple actions for us to take. It's connecting people with the right resources. It's helping to lead them to a solution that they can't see. So there isn't, out of those 11 surveys, the interesting thing is there's a lot of trends that come out of them. And so it's connecting those individuals with the resources that they need. Complete development of a local online business directory. We're currently working with the town team to put together a very amazing online business directory, which is we've been building a directory outline for 700 businesses. So that's been an interesting chunk of work. We're about 80% way through completing that process. And we're working with the town on launching an online business directory on the town website ongoing. It would also include services, organizations, and not just business, but all the types of things that you might want to find in Grimsby. So I think it provides a much wider range of options for people. So hopefully that will move forward soon. Develop a data analysis plan with the regional data analyst and with our MAFRA advisors. Develop a summary report structure for our MAFRA best practices for our summary report. Just so you know, also, OMAFRA has provided us with examples from other municipalities of how they've done their summary reports, how they facilitated their retreats. So we're actually getting additional information and support in those areas. And to continue to provide updates to Grimsby Economic Development Advisory Committee, Town Council, and the Grimsby Chamber of Commerce. Next slide, please. BRNE goals and deliverables. Support local businesses with immediate issues and opportunities identified through the survey process so that they can better manage through COVID-19. At the end of all of this, there's a large portion of this that moves on to the strategy team to develop an economic development strategy for the town of Grimsby. The BRNE team's goal, along with being able to provide that, is to action immediate. What do the businesses need right now, and how can we support them in that? How can we connect them to the right people? How can we provide them with the right resources? Collect, analyze, and prioritize critical business and market data to deliver a BRNE final report to OMAFRA of important trends and priorities identified for the town of Grimsby, to share and communicate findings and final report to local businesses, town council, and Grimsby Chamber of Commerce, and to support and inform the development of a Grimsby economic development strategy by the strategy working group. And that's it. Questions?
There we are. Great. Thank you very much, Susan. Great report. Yeah, great information. So we'll just start. Ellie, questions, comments?
A comment, not a question. I just wanted to reiterate Susan's plea to businesses to participate. These exercises intend to create a bridge between the business community and the town of Grimsby. It will shape what the town will do to serve businesses. So just again, a plea to participate, share your insights, your needs, your thoughts, because it will matter. It will matter. It will shape what the town does today, like Susan said, on the immediate front, but also as we move forward to the strategy, over the next 3 years and beyond that into the future. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments, Ellie. Richard.
Hi, Susan. Great report. Thanks very much. And your communications background is showing through, so that's wonderful. My question is, given the amount of data that's been captured to date, do we have any feedback from OMAFRA on, if there's 700 in the possible universe, what's considered to be a viable data set on which to base the outcomes of the study?
So we did, thank you, Richard. We did an analysis early in the game and came up with a number, but I will tell you this, I've had ongoing conversations with the MAFRA. Their feedback is that it is extremely difficult right now. Every town that they have doing this, it is incredibly difficult, and it's part of why we've gone to an exceptionally long survey period. So we are not unique in the difficulty we're having there. So we can work with different ways of doing this. I think lengthening and taking our time with each of our businesses and encouraging each to do the survey, and also when they have time, right, allows us to do that with the window that we've created. We also have we have 483 businesses in Grimsby who have already done the Niagara surveys, which has very similar questions. So we can look for trends there. There are different ways of pulling this together at the end of the day. Most important is to get that current from our local businesses here and now, but it doesn't mean we're without resources to move this project forward. But absolutely, totally concerned, right? But I don't think that it's a no-go forward. I think that it's how we go forward to still end up with the same result. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for the, sorry, Richard, did you want to? Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the comments and the questions there. Not seeing any other comments or questions from committee. We do have a resolution. Before I get into that, I just want to personally thank Susan as the team leader to the BRE&E initiative, and also especially thank all the members of the committee who are, you guys have put some tireless long hours, and just to see how we've been moving forward with this, it's a great initiative, and especially with the challenging, and we hate to use this word all the time, but it's the reality of life. COVID, it does offer a lot more challenges, but great work. I look forward to any presentations coming forward to council. So keep council in the loop in that. So that's fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much. We have a resolution to receive the presentation. The BR&E working group update be received. Can I get a mover and a seconder on that? Michael? And another hand, please. Anybody? Allie? Okay. Great. All right. All in favor of the resolution to receive the presentation? And that is carried. Thank you. So we'll move forward under committee business now with the Economic Development Strategy Working Group update in terms of reference. Ellie, I believe you're taking the lead on this one.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So I too am very excited to bring this update to GDAC. If we can move over to the next slide. So what we're going to cover in this presentation is our partnership with the Business Retention and Expansion Working Group, background to this project, a project update, objectives and deliverables, and next steps. So building off the momentum made by the Business Retention and Expansion Working Group, the Economic Development Strategy Working Group will assess the current state of Grimsby's economic development. So we'll look at local business needs, regional synergies, Hamilton and Niagara, emerging trends, competitive advantages, and obstacles to success, and lay the foundation in the short term for our town's economic recovery, and in the long term for future economic development planning. For a bit of background, the Economic Development Strategy Working Group was established at GDAC's November 18th, 2020 meeting with the objective of supporting the town in the development of an economic development strategy. All steps or stages of the process requiring council approval will be submitted to GDAC in the report recommendation format prepared by the Economic Development Office. In Niagara's third COVID business impact survey, Niagara's Director of Economic Development was quoted as saying that Niagara businesses have been hit hard from the pandemic, and we still face a long and difficult recovery. With this in mind, the Economic Development Strategy Working Group will build on the momentum and information provided by GDAC's BR&E Working Group to support the development of a Grimsby economic development strategy. The goal of that strategy is ultimately to ensure that local businesses have the tools and support that they require in order to thrive today and tomorrow. The economic development strategy will be a forward-looking 3-year strategy that is focused on business attraction, growth, and retention. The reason for this approach is this. So as local businesses continue to struggle with the effects of COVID-19, this approach addresses, number one, the immediate needs of the local business community. It also addresses business attraction, growth, and retention, building on Grimsby's economic development priorities as outlined in Council's 2019 to 2022 strategic priorities. And number three, it also addresses the need for foundational data for informed future planning and growth. So as an update, heeding council feedback, the strategy working group has updated its terms of reference to ensure that this strategy exercise is better aligned with council expectations. The new draft document is provided as Appendix A and reflects the contents of this presentation. The working group will assist town staff with the tasks required to accomplish the following objectives and deliverables. So objective 1 is our situational analysis or environmental scan. This first part of the strategic process will embark on a large background review of Grimsby's business community, the Hamilton and Niagara economies, and possible economic changes that may result from the COVID-19 pandemic. This background review will look at, as mentioned before, data from the Business Retention and Expansion Survey conducted by GDAC's Business Retention and Expansion Working Group, a Niagara and Hamilton economic trends analysis, which will be acquired with support from the Niagara Workforce Planning Board and Niagara Region Economic Development. The data will include the most recent economic development strategies for Niagara and Hamilton, including pandemic recovery best practices, Census Metropolitan Area data for Niagara and Hamilton, as well as COVID-19 business and workforce impact surveys from Niagara and Hamilton. The working group will also analyze insights gathered from consultations it would hold with council, business stakeholders, the community, and other local, regional, and external partners. Emerging trends will be explored. We will conduct a SWOT analysis to identify the town's economic development strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we will engage in a competitive assessment aimed at identifying Grimsby's value proposition. We will also engage in a review of town initiatives, strategies, policies, and our bylaws that are relevant to economic development success. This portion of the project is critical. It will provide a better understanding of Grimsby's position in a larger economic development context, as well as set the stage for informed planning and decision making. Objective 2 of our process will see the working group supporting the town in defining our economic development pillars. So this is what are the key objectives that the town will address, identifying strategic initiatives for each pillar. So what initiatives will the town execute to address the pillars, and developing an action plan with delivery deadlines and cadence of review. So this is the how, the who, where, and when things will get done. The first 2 steps in this part of the project will articulate our strategy. The last step will lay out the execution framework for the delivery of that strategy. The focus here will be to deliver a set of concise, measurable, and implementable recommendations, providing the town with a playbook of action items that will allow the town to leverage its strengths and pursue economic development opportunities. The final objective, number 3, will be the presentation of a draft economic development strategy document to GDAC and Council for review and approval. So our next steps are basically to solicit input and feedback from GDAC and Council, and then proceed with our situational analysis or environmental scan, the strategic plan and working group sessions, and the draft economic development strategy document. So that's it. That concludes our presentation.
Great, Ali. Thank you very much for your presentation. Any comments or questions from committee members? Okay, I don't see any. So great. I'm really happy to see that we're moving forward on this, because I know in the past we've had a lot of discussions with past GDAC committee groups and that economic development. It's so important, but again, these are the building steps moving forward. So great work to you and your committee. Again, Ali, thank you very much. I have a resolution. Resolved that the terms of reference for the Economic Development Strategy Working Group be received, that the terms of reference as presented be forwarded to council for approval. Can I get a mover and a seconder to this resolution then? Susan and Michael, thank you. All in favor to the resolution? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Our next item, under the committee business will be Digital Main Street Update. And I believe that's CAO Schlang. Are you presenting that one?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Donna, if you could put the slides up for me. Thank you. Yes, committee, I just thought I'd give a brief update. I'll go through these slides quickly and answer any questions that you have. There was a program that we partnered with the province of Ontario, the Ontario Business Improvement Area Association, and the FedDev to get some funding to do this. And we worked in partnership with the DIA. Next slide. I just wanted to touch on a few points here. We had grant funding of $18,500 for a resource to approach businesses in the DIA district. The individual approached 123 businesses, and of that, 18 applied for grants and 16 received grants. So they received about 2,500 each. There was 16 businesses. But again, this funding was provided to us, to the town, and to implement. We just wanted to say this program had 2.0, had ended on June 4th. Next slide. And again, just highlighting, just how many businesses were approached, that it was positive. Any way we could help small businesses, getting 2,500 to help with some of their digital service delivery was a very positive thing. Next slide. There was, when you approach 123 businesses and get response from 18 to provide grants, so we felt that, what have we learned from this? We do feel that many of our businesses at that time were coping with day-to-day operational issues, the pandemic, the lack of ability to meet in person by our Main Street ambassador, to meet in person and really try and encourage and help people apply. So we feel that, if there's a version 3.0, it might be improved a bit, and maybe expanding the boundaries beyond the DIA into the rest of the businesses in Grimsby. Next slide. There was a lot of support, both consulting support and real engagement on reviewing some of their digital service delivery components, and that's been seen as very positive, as we see from the next slide. There was a number of testimonials we received. Next slide, please, Donna. That, these small businesses did see it really important and positive, that we did try and help with them, through funding and as well as consulting support. And the results have been seen as positive, superb, and there was a lot of attention and thanks given to our ambassador to run this program. Next slide. Again, we're hearing that there may be a version 3.0. We do feel, unless this is, the scope can be beyond just the DIA, we'd have to look at it. So we'll keep GDAC advised of any next steps if there's a version 3.0, and see if we can build on what we've achieved already. So thank you very much. That was just a brief scope of what's been accomplished.
Great. Thank you very much, Harry, for your presentation. Any comments or questions to the Main Street Digital presentation? Mike Willscraft.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me all right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Harry, one thing you might want to add to the report was the advisors. They also provided support for the people who had already applied. I know by the time we got in the screen, I could think of 7 or 8 businesses that were already working through the grant process. But in particular, Liam, who was the first consultant that we had, he offered his help and services or guidance to executing the plans that they had already been approved for. So that was a useful tool. Also on the lessons learned or bumps in the road part of the report, we had to change consultants halfway through because Liam, the first fellow who was our consultant, had got a full-time job, maybe 3/4, well, half 3/4 the way through. So he departed. Then we brought in someone who was doing a similar project over in Welland. And so just the fact that you sort of changed courses midstream, I think the second person had a little less familiarity because Liam was there from the ground up, and had developed relationships with the people who started out, that kind of thing. So the fact that we had to change was a bit of a negative there. And what was the other point? I can't think of it now. I'll pop it back in. But the main thing was that the advisors that they had, they both did a very good job for us. And you're right, the limitations on meeting, I think that had an impact for sure. But it was, everybody appreciated the feedback that we got in direct discussions and information that I sent out. Some people offered inquiries to find out more about it. The general consensus from people that didn't participate, some just didn't have an aptitude for online, which translated into a lack of interest. And some just weren't ready for digital. They didn't think it was for them. But the offer, the ability to opt into a program like that is very much appreciated by all of us.
Thanks, Mike, for those comments. In the final report, we'll make sure that's included. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Thanks, Mike, for your comments. Michael.
Thanks. Harry, the numbers look great. For small town, that's a pretty good impact for a program of that size. So I just had 2 really quick questions. One being, if there is a 3.0, which we're hearing rumblings there are going to be, you said that there was going to be an interest in this unless it was the scope of the program was expanded. Were there any businesses that reached out outside of that BIA zone and got any help? And the second question, kind of follow up, being, there is a caveat in that program stating that if you're within a kilometer of a BIA zone, you can still apply for the grant. And if you have some support from the DIA and or the town to show that the business is kind of in the downtown area, you can still get grants. So were there any businesses outside of the DIA zone that applied that got any support? Because that's something in other cities that we've pushed a little bit through the Small Business Center to help as well. Those people that are close but not exactly qualifying.
Thank you, Mike. Unless Mike Willscraft has that answer, I'd have to get that and get back to you on whether of those 16, how many were outside or within that kilometer, that zone. But Mike, you have the answer to that?
I didn't see a list of anybody who applied. I didn't see a master list of any time like that. But I'm recalling when the whole thing was, when Adam had applied, My understanding was, and I mentioned this to the board when we talked about doing it, I didn't think that it was limited to the DIA. The DIA was supporting it, but my understanding from Adam was he would be, it was the DIA supported, but it would be
Growth the whole
promoted
town.
town-wide. I don't, now we didn't get into what you're mentioning about a kilometer, but maybe that's the tool that he was using. But my understanding was the support people were trying to network the entire municipality because it was sponsored by DIA. I don't believe Adam limited it to the
Perfect.
DIA.
No,
I don't
that's
think. Check with Adam on that. I don't believe so.
perfect. That's great. No, just because the program has a little bit wider scope that they loosened this time versus the first time they ran it. So we're hoping that the third version takes into account some smaller areas outside, like, Grimsby on the lake would be great to have something down there as well to help them.
So Mike, you're right. We really want to look at what 3.0, what the scope is, and definitely if it covers the whole town, I think we should look at it, and I'll report back to GDAC.
Thank you, guys. And great work too.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, anytime you get 50-some thousand and, helping the businesses, it's in any way, it's positive. So thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for the report, Harry, and great questions from committee members. Yeah, I'd be, and I'm sure council, for the benefit of council too, if we could get some clarification on how the program expands and to how far it does go, that'd be great, just in case we get any questions, and just the understanding getting the clarification to the program. So look forward to that. Any other comments or questions? Great, thank you. We have another resolution. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Resolved that the presentation on the digital Main Street update be received. I get a mover and a seconder again, please. Mike Williscraft and Richard. Give me a second here. Okay, and vote all in favor of the receiving the presentation, and that is carried. Thank you very much. That completes our committee business. And again, if there's any other quick comments, any members want to bring forward, I'll allow that. Then I'll just after that I'll announce when our next GDAC meeting. So any other comments or announcements from committee members? Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, everybody, joining us this morning, and thank you for your time that you're putting into all these initiatives. Great work. The town is, I think we're in a very good, strong position right now moving forward. So yeah, thanks again. And our next GDAC meeting is scheduled for September 22nd of 2021. So we won't see you during the summer unless something does come up and we need to have a meeting. We're always flexible to that. So have a great summer, everybody, and get those 2 shots in and enjoy your summer. So yeah, great to see everybody. Thanks again, folks. Bye for now.